Oh, I was gonna make an addendum here. This is Trap Red of some stuff that I forgot to cover. I had turned up extra bolts, and I was wondering why. And then I realized, oh well, they're from the replacement chassis casing that I bought. So here's this bolt set 6, and here's a bolt set. I have a spare. The other thing I didn't show you was how, by the way, this oil pump has to come off. Good thing I didn't torque it down too tight. It has to come off because there needs to be a gasket underneath there. I found that out from my reading. And if you're a beginner and motorcycle engine rebuilder or enthusiast like I am, then you'll take note of this. The other thing, let me pull off the rod cap assembly and show you how it actually mates. See how you don't want to scratch it, okay, or mar this piston either. See how the teeth on the on the harmonic balancer chain threads, see it all the way from this top to the bottom one. Now these have to be aligned. See how this is malaligned? Okay, I can jump the chain, but rather than do that, I'll just pull the dowel and I'll rotate the little counterweight, and then we'll reposition it. And that's how we're going to do that. That will pretty much be simplifying that. Now this, you want top dead center. Notice how the pistons on the crankshaft, how the bearing surface down here is directly down, or top dead center. That would be his top in the rotation stroke. It's a 4-cycle engine, so that's top dead center right there is its position. And if you look and notice, you'll see that there's this Woodruff key gizmo right here that provides the timing mark permanently on the front of the engine. Flywheel, front seal, Woodruff key. It's the main shaft right here, main crank shaft. Drives the timing and alternator, and guess what? It also drives the drive gear. It engages with the transmission through the clutch mechanism, which shifts on and back and forth. Okay, which isn't on right now, not yet. We have to put the engine casing back together. So all these surfaces need to be cleaned. These bearing surfaces with the built-in bearings, they all need to be cleaned, spotlessly cleaned. WD-40, the gasket surface needs to be clean. The orifices all need to be washed out with solvent and inspected. There's some hidden now you can't see underneath this. The same with the spindle down there in the forks when you disassemble it all. All those parts need to be cleaned. Okay, now notice. See how the chain guard is set in with 2 bolts, stainless steel bolts. And I think one's a 8mm and the other one I believe is a 6. Don't take my word for it. They're both the same size, it's just different lengths. Excuse me for being wrong about that. Anyways, so you're gonna put it so that the teeth on the chain ride on it's gotta line up. You don't want to force it. Make sure it's lined up. That's not properly aligned. See how that orifice is not lined up? Anyways, we gotta time it adjust it anyways. So I'm not gonna force it at this moment. I just wanted to show you these points. If you're a beginner and an amateur like I am, these rubber seals need to be inspected. They need to be pried up, cleaned, inspected for cracks, dryness, replaced if necessary. This is what I wanted to talk about. See this shift detent in this cam? Well, this is first gear. It's sitting in first gear, which is, by the way, the lowest position on the cam. If you notice, this is the stop. This is midnight. This is stop right here. There's nothing here. So this is first gear, second gear. First gear, neutral. Excuse me. Let me go again. First gear, neutral. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. 5, 4, 3, 2, neutral, first. Now, how do I know that? See these prongs here? That's how. Watch. 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 When I go from first into neutral, watch. Boop. See that? And that's how you can also prove if your detent's working and not going to jump tracks. Mine was jumping the track because the spacer in there wasn't allowing my little gizmo all the way through, and I thought, oh, it's bent, but it's not really bent. It needs to be precisely aligned though, otherwise it won't work right, and precisely tensioned. If you have it too tight, it won't work. So anyways, going backwards now. Sometimes you have to squiggle and jimmy the drive shaft, but it might just be that I need 2 hands. Let me see if I can do this again. So just, yeah. There we go. It was both. So that's first gear. How do I know? Because first gear is turning. This is first gear. And it's also turning here. First gear. So it's in gear. And that's where it should be. That's the proper setup. Anything else is screwed up. And if you don't have it like that, you better get it like that or you'll be screwed. That's what I'm saying. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I was pretty careful to keep it straight. And it's proving itself out to be such, because if you're in gear and you're not in the proper gear, it won't drive the engine transmission, without the clutch. So this would be, the clutch is gonna be here, pushed in and out. Anyways, this here, because the clutch isn't installed right now, it will operate freely, but once the detent's in, it will stop at neutral and it won't go into second gear very easily. So that's how you know that's aligned properly. Okay, and we're still cleaning the parts. It's very important. I'm gonna wipe this down in a little bit. The bearing surfaces, don't sand those. Don't sandpaper those at all. Those are burnished surfaces, burnished aluminum, so you want them clean. And I'm gonna get back to cleaning this piston right here, this dirty old son of a gun. Now this is something I found out too from reading the book. See these right here, these 2 marks, this and that? That's called the double intake valve relief, and it needs to be to the rear. So this is the intake valve, double. There's 2 intake valves and 1 exhaust. You can tell by the size. The 2 intakes are smaller, and then the exhaust valve is larger. So the 2 intake valve reliefs go to the rear of the engine, which means when the piston's sitting upside down, it has to be like this. It has to be like that with those facing the rear. Anyways, that's just something I wanted to tell you about. I'm gonna get back to cleaning this up. It's in the book. It's covered on page 65 of the Climber's book. Pistons, piston rings, and connecting rod removal. And I'm reusing the same old pistons, but it covers it right in here. And this is the timing chain tensioner I was telling you about that has to go in as well before you before you bolt up the main cap bearing, because it actually has to go in this slot. I'll show you where. And if you don't put it in beforehand, it's impossible. It's got to go down in here, Look here, let me pull it out so you can see it clearly, succinctly. It's got to go in there, right here. And this is what it looks like. Actually, this is what it is. And this is the top, and this is the bottom, and this bottom thing has got to go in like this. Watch. It's got to go in this direction, just like so. That's the main reason this all gizmo has to be blocked up. Okay? And then it's got to have another little gizmo put on it. And that's what I was leaving out. I need to show you is this. This goes right here like that. So it's a retainer, it holds that and keeps the tranny in place as well. I'm gonna have to put that on. That's the main reason you need this all blocked up, because you can't break this. This is something that's important, very important and costly. These are about 50 bucks, and it's just like a piece of hardened plastic or something, but without that tensioner it won't work right. Same with this. So there it is. We're getting there. I'm gonna tighten those pieces up, bolt it down, make sure it's all cool, and then clean up that piston, and we'll be ready to put those pistons back in the piston holes. We're gonna have to move the 2x4s either way, probably use them this way or move them at least over here so they're not blocking the way, and kind of carefully balance it. It's a balancing act, and we've got to have support with clearance for those pistons and the rods to come up through the holes at least, or so we can seat them properly. Alright, this is Trapper Red. I'm gonna take a break and get back down to it, clean this piston, and get on with tightening those parts. Talk to you later.